What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Seat Radio. My name is Corbin, and normally I put these series recap videos out as soon as I possibly can the next day, but I wanted to wait on this one. So I apologize for the delay, but the reason I wanted to wait was because today, September 1st, marks the day that all MLB rosters are expanded by 2 players, which means that the Red Sox today had to call up 2 players to their major league roster, and that's why I wanted to wait, because this is really interesting. The players they called up were interesting choices, and they may or may not have been affected by this latest series. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about who the Red Sox called up, why they were called up, and what this means for the Red Sox in 2022, and what it could possibly mean for the Red Sox going forward. We're also going to talk about what happened in this series. We're sort of do a condensed recap video with all the highlights and stuff like that, so just in case you guys missed it. And we're going to talk about why this series, latest series with the Twins, could have had an effect on who the Red Sox called up. But before I get into that, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video. Helps out a ton, would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one. Let's get into it. So like I said in the intro, let's start the meat of this video off with sort of the top line highlight stories, the big stories from this series. And the big story from this series was Xander Bogaerts' game. The game that the Red Sox won because they dropped 2 out of 3 was almost strictly because of Xander Bogaerts. The captain had himself a day. He had a grand slam for 4 RBIs. He also had an RBI double down the line the other way. So he ended up with 5 RBIs, and it felt so good to see Xander start doing well again. He's been doing well for the last couple of series, a home run in the last, 3 of 4, and it just feels so good to see him hitting for power again. I was so sick of people slandering our captain, Xander Bogaerts, so it felt really good to see him sort of break out and come back to the Xander that we know and love. The other guy we need to mention in this quick recap is JD Martinez, who also had a home run, and he actually had a conversation with Christopher Smith, a Red Sox beat reporter, about why his power has been down. It said it's because he's having issues with his hip mechanics, and that's what's hurting his power. It's something that he says he can fix and will fix. It's just a matter of when that will happen, but we're starting to see some power come back from JD as well. Some other highlights here in this series: Brayan Bello continues to slowly improve. This wasn't exactly his best outing of the year, but to see him go 4 innings, allow only 3 and strike out 2, looked pretty good the entire way too, so that's good news on the Bello front. Michael Wacha continues to be such a strong part of this Red Sox rotation. He went 6 innings, allowed just 2 runs, and struck out 7. I personally hope that the Red Sox try and go out and re-sign Michael Wacha, not to a long-term deal or anything, but just another year, kind of be that rock in the rotation again, because in my opinion, there are going to be question marks going into the 2023 season about this rotation, and Michael Wacha, if we re-sign him, would not be a part of that. The last thing I want to mention about this Twin series is Rafael Devers, who has gone 0 for his last 20 and has just been not good at all. He actually had his worst month of his career in this latest August, and something's up with Devers. And I don't think this is going to be a problem going forward, but it's just really tough to watch your best hitter, a hitter that is so prolific and feared throughout the league, have such a tough month. So hopefully he gets better soon. Again, I don't think this is going to be a trend going forward, but it's definitely something to at least keep your eye on. And I know I just said the last thing, but another last thing I want to mention is once again the bullpen, which continues to just keep letting us down. Ryan Brazier immediately gives up a grand slam after hitting a guy. It was just tough to watch. Matt Barnes had a little bit of a rocky outing. At least he was able to get the save. Even Whitlock fell to the bug that is this Red Sox bullpen, and he let up 3 runs as well. And to be honest with you, I think we've been kind of hoping that this bullpen would see some restructuring this entire season. So I don't know if this series has everything to do with the people that they ended up calling up, but I think it definitely had some influence. So let's talk about the people that ended up being brought up during this expanded roster time. So who did the Red Sox decide to call up with their September call-up roster expansion? The 2 players that were called up were Connor Wong and Edward Bizardo. Now, Connor Wong makes a ton of sense. If you look at Kevin Plawecki, who is currently, I would say, our backup catcher, I guess he's kind of split in time with McGuire, but all in all, he's been our backup catcher this year. Plawecki, who has been hot at the plate recently, throughout this entire year has been well below average at the plate. That's both in the box and behind it. So in my opinion, yeah, bringing up Connor Wong makes a ton of sense in that sense, but also because you don't really know what the future future of the catching position is going to look like for the Boston Red Sox. After Christian Vasquez's departure, you're kind of left with a huge question mark behind there. And yes, Reese McGuire has been fantastic at the plate, but no one really expected that, to be honest with you. And I don't know if the front office is going to expect him to do what he's doing at the plate on a consistent basis for a couple of years to come. So bringing up Connor Wong in almost a tryout to see if, hey, maybe we can do a Connor Wong, Reese McGuire for the next couple of years type battery behind the dish could make sense. Or they could also be bringing him up because of the fact that he's a utility player. He has the ability to play a bunch of positions on the field. Catcher depth is extremely necessary. Get a couple of guys off their feet. Connor Wong can do that. Connor Wong has also been on fire lately at the plate at the AAA level. In 9 of his last 16 games, he's hit a home run. This dude is ready to try and perform at the big league level, so it makes sense that they're giving him this opportunity. On top of all of that, he has already been with this team, so it just makes the most logical sense to bring Connor Wong to the major league level with this roster expansion. The other guy that was brought on was Edward Bizzardo. Now, Edward's a little bit more of an interesting case. He's not a guy that was on the top of a ton of people's list as to who to bring up during this roster expansion. I think if we're talking about bullpen guys, the number one guy was Frank Germain, so this may come as a little bit of a surprise to some people. But Edward Bizzardo is not a bad case either. We just went over what happened in that Twins series, and I talked about how detrimental that bullpen was in a couple of those games. We talked about some of these journeymen, these veterans in the bullpen that haven't been able to put it together, i.e. Ryan Brazier, Familia. Those are a couple guys that come off the top of my head for guys that haven't really been able to put it together, and guys who I don't think are going to be a part of this Red Sox team in 2023. So bringing up a bullpen guy who can come in and see what he can do, especially after the success that Zach Kelly has brought. Yes, it's only been 2 innings, but 3 strikeouts in 2 innings, no earned runs, is a little bit of a breath of a fresh air. So bringing up Bizzardo makes a ton of sense. On top of all of that too, it is pretty normal to see bullpen guys get brought up, mostly because of the fact that by this time of the year, our reliable relievers tend to get worn down. You need some guys to try and bolster that workload to give these guys who are legitimately reliable a couple of innings off their feet, save them for a little bit. So this Edward Bizzardo move makes sense as well. For those of you who have never really heard of Edward Bizzardo, because I wasn't super in depth into what he did before coming to the Red Sox, because I didn't really honestly pay a ton of attention to him, I got a couple of statistics for you. In Worcester this year, Bizzardo has a 3.45 ERA in 57 innings. A little bit high of a whip at 1.465 and a 9.4 K per 9. All in all, he's been one of the Red Sox most reliable pitchers, so I'm not over the moon that Bizzardo's coming up. I'm not like, yes, this is the future of the Red Sox bullpen, but at the end of the day, it gives you a little bit of a break from the regular guys that we've been seeing blow games this entire year, and that's what I'm excited for. I'm excited that the Red Sox are starting to take a look at, hey, there may be a couple guys in this minor league system that will be able to help this team win in 2023 and beyond. Obviously, they had to do this with the MLB expanding their roster, but at the same time too, it's nice to see them start doing that. I think both of these moves make a ton of sense. I don't think there's anyone out of these two people that shouldn't be coming up to the big leagues. Now, for those of you who are wondering, oh no, Tristan Casas, Frank Germain, these guys didn't get called up. This is, we're not going to see them this year. That's not entirely true. I could at some point see the Red Sox going on a little bit of a DFA spree, especially as, we get further into the year. The Red Sox playoff chances go further and further down to 0 if they're not already there. We could start seeing a little bit of a DFA spree towards the end of the year to try and get some of these minor league guys like Casas, like Germain up here and see what they can do as well. But this is kind of the starting point for that, in my opinion. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you think of the moves that the Red Sox made with this expanded roster? Do you like them? Do you not like them? What are your thoughts on who they brought up, and who would you have brought up if you had the opportunity? And let me know what you guys thought of the Twins series. Were there any good parts that you really liked? Are there anything that I missed that we needed to talk about that I didn't? Let me know all your thoughts on that down below. As always, if you've made it to the end of this video, do me a favor, make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like I said in the beginning, if you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video. Helps out a ton and would mean a lot to me. Finally, if you truly enjoyed this video, share with a friend or family member who loves the Red Sox as much as you do. It helps these videos out a ton and would mean a lot to me. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the red seats.